Good evening. There's still time to save Christmas, but action to put more trucks on the road must happen quickly. That's the message from logistics firms and lorry drivers here in the West Midlands, working hard to keep our shelves stocked and the supply chain moving. We've been talking to those behind the wheel and in the warehouses. Let's join Rebecca Wood, who's at a huge distribution operation in Birmingham for us tonight. So what's the feeling there, Becky?
Well, there's certainly a sense here, Mary, that this was on the cards and has been brewing for some time. Now, as you mentioned, this is a huge logistics outfit. This is Palletline. Around 400 HGVs come here daily, and that feeds into a network of thousands. If it looks busy down there at the moment, come 8 o'clock, there'll be around 80 forklift trucks loading these trucks, which then go out and hit the roads. So it's no surprise that in the offices here, on this floor and amongst the drivers, the hot topic is the driver shortage situation at the moment. And it's not just here, it's the same up and down the region, as our digital filmmaker Yusuf Akbar and James Boville have been finding out at a truck stop in Cannock.
For a lot of people out there who have the choice, I could see completely why they wouldn't come into this industry.
Hard, long, lonely sometimes. That's just part and parcel of the job.
It feels like truck drivers who take trucks out on the road are fighting for themselves. There's no one in their corner. It's the most antisocial job you can have. And you meet other truckers. You come to a truck stop like this, and this is your social life of a trucker. You meet other truckers. You sit and you talk about work. I think I missed watching the kids grow up. I used to go away on a Sunday afternoon and come back on a Friday night. So you miss all that.
Yeah, sometimes you get more money for stocking shelves in a supermarket, so why put yourself through going out on the road? But some of the companies' hands are tied with the contracts they've got. If they can't get the money out of the customer, well, they can't pass it on. But
You always have this stigma around HGV drivers. The ones who weigh 20 stone, they've been eating burgers all day, and people think that that's what it is. It's unfashionable to be a HGV driver. Year after year, people come in, a lot more are leaving than coming in, because you look at those options and you go, do I want to stay out all week to earn a reasonable wage? Do I want to work every weekend or late nights? And the answer is no, no, no. You don't join that industry.
Well, the Prime Minister was pressed on lorry drivers' pay and conditions on the BBC's Andrew Marr show. Boris Johnson insisted it was something the industry had to put right.
What we had for decades was a system whereby basically the road haulage industry, which is a great industry full of fantastic people, was not investing in the truck stops, not improving conditions, not improving pay, and we relied on very hard-working people who were willing to come in, largely from European accession countries, to do that work under those conditions.
And so we closed them off.
That is why that job, with those pay and those conditions, is not currently attractive.
So, Becky, the Prime Minister was very clear there, wasn't he? The issue of pay and conditions for drivers, it's something the industry has to sort out. What have you been hearing in response to that?
Well, shortly, Mary, we're going to be getting the thoughts on one of the managing directors here. But ahead of that, this is something that the Road Haulage Association has been very vocal about in the past. They think that pay, conditions and the need to get more homegrown drivers is key. They say this situation has been brewing and is getting worse.
Whether it's agriculture, retail, construction, automotive products, all of these sectors rely on trucks. So if there's no truck drivers, there's no supply chain. The supply chain is broken, which means all of us, all of your viewers, all of us will suffer.
Well, whether big or small, the impact is being felt across the board. And when you've got millions of pallets to move every year, the impact could be huge and the cost as well. But the key message we've been hearing throughout the day is that investment is key. And that is what the team here have been telling me today. Another day on the road for HGV driver Dave from Burton-upon-Trent. He's been working in the industry for more than 20 years and says now's the time for change.
There's nothing in this country that doesn't come on a lorry. So really, drivers need to be sort of treated better standards, better terms and conditions on contracts, better hours, and of course better pay.
And he's not alone. Drivers say they knew this problem was coming.
It is about the money, but it's not necessarily about the money, it's about the conditions. I mean, how many office jobs do you know that you have to work 15 hours a day, sit in a cab all day, sleep in your cab all day, all night, eat, you struggle getting a shower, you pay £30 to park up and you're not safe.
Delivering 5 million pallets of freight each year, this is one of the biggest palletised distribution companies in the country. So its head office here in Birmingham is a hive of activity. In a 24-hour window, 3,600 HGV drivers will be involved in the delivery of freight through the Palletline network, with at least 400 coming through this hub. They're responsible for the freight of 76 logistics companies up and down the country, and they have 6 of their own. Since Brexit and the pandemic, they've noticed things getting much tougher.
There's a bigger demand for drivers than I've ever seen in my career in the transport industry, and it's been born through unprecedented demand as well as a lack of resource.
On top of that demand, the government's reporting a delay in processing licence applications. So what's the answer?
Try and make the driver profession more attractive to younger people, facilities, more truck stops, more training. That's really what's required for the longer term.
With the average age of a lorry driver sitting at 55, companies like this say investment's key to attracting a whole new generation of drivers. Well, we heard from him there, but Graham Leach is the Group Managing Director here at Palletline. Graham, good evening.
Good evening.
The Prime Minister says that if there is to be investment in this industry, it needs to come from companies like you. Is that feasible?
We, as an industry, do understand that we need to invest in resolving the driver shortage, and as an industry we've already started to do that. Throughout the Palletline network, we have invested in an increase in driver wages of over 20% since Easter of this year. So I think that we recognise that, we have to do that. But I do think there is a responsibility and a requirement for the government to help us in that task as well, whether it be to invest in training, packages. I mean, the Prime Minister said that today, but the Chancellor also said there was 500 million for getting people back into jobs, and some of that has to come to the transport industry to help resolve this problem.
If the government doesn't step in, what kind of impact is that going to have going forward, do you think?
Well, I mean, let's not forget that we are still successfully delivering over 20,000 pallets of palletised freight a day. So, you know, the industry is working, it's not completely broken, and we don't want to give the impression that it's broken, but there is definitely an issue that we have to resolve between us. But the industry does need the support, does need support in doing that. We are prepared to invest. It's an industry that's always reinventing itself as well, and we need to make the job of an HGV driver more attractive to younger people. But we also need, again, as the Chancellor said today, a greater emphasis on speeding up the backlog of HGV tests. Now, that's a good commitment, but we haven't actually seen any action on that so far. So we really need something to happen in that regard as well.
OK, Graham, thank you very much. We will await, but obviously there is a lot that needs to be dealt with, Mary, moving forward.
Becky, thank you.